My name is Peggy Lagodny, and I'm a worship associate of this congregation, the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Cleveland. It's so good to see everybody this morning. Welcome. We come here for different reasons: to find community, to seek spiritual truths, to question and nurture your heart and soul, to be nurtured, to explore new ideas, to find comfort, and perhaps to find the answers to some of your bigger questions. Welcome. We come from different places, different religions, different beliefs, and different backgrounds. We hope you will find comfort, connection, challenge, and love here. Whoever you are, wherever you come from, whoever you love, know that you are welcome here. We especially welcome any guests who are worshiping with us for the first time today. If you are interested in more information on who we are, we invite you to fill out one of the guest cards in the pew rack in front of you. You can place the card in the offering plate when it comes around later in the service, and we'll be able to reach out to you to answer any questions that you might have about our congregation. We have a little housekeeping this morning before we start. The first is, after your order service, down in the corner is a QR code. If you would please, sometime before you leave today, fill out the tracking form, which is a contact tracing form. It just takes a moment, it's very simple. And for an announcement, we have Are you interested in being on the worship service front lines, but would prefer to be involved behind the scenes? Become a worship service usher and get involved. UUCC is recruiting volunteers for its Sunday service usher team. You will help with greeting and orienting members and visitors, pass out the order of service, and lead the offertory collection. This activity is a great opportunity for the youth of our congregation who are staying for service after RE classes. Your commitment is only one Sunday a month. Contact Steve Love if you have any questions or would like to sign up. Also, there are several upcoming opportunities for us to directly express our fierce and compassionate commitment to justice with regard to bail reform. These include small group conversations with regional legislators in Northeast Ohio, virtual lobbying targeted at members of the Senate Judiciary and House Criminal Justice Committees, and an interactive training for that virtual lobbying day. For more information about any of these opportunities, please speak to Reverend Randy or Lori Albright. You can see Lori here this morning. It's a great opportunity. And as we are about to enter sacred space, would you please take a moment to silence your phones or any other electronics that might be during the service. In your pew racks are yellow cards with words that are for the different parts of the service. Would you please read with me the chalice lighting? Love is the spirit of sanctification, and service is its law. This is our great covenant, to love together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another.
We are called to worship today by the words of Laura Horton-Ludwig. Spirit of life and love, we are here because we believe what we do matters. We are here because we believe how we live our life matters. That with every act of kindness or meanness, courage or fear, love or hate, we are weaving the fabric of a universe that holds us all. We are here because we need encouragement, because we need strength, because so often we get distracted. We get in a rush. We don't think. We choose the easy way, then the harder path is what our spirits truly long for. Together, we inspire one another to try again, to take another step. We are here because we have felt the stirrings of love and grace in our hearts and hands, and we crave more of that for ourselves, and not only for ourselves, for everyone. We are here because how we live matters. Blessed be, let us join together in a spirit of worship. In just a moment, we're going to sing, I think Our World is One World, and that's the words are in your order of service for that, but if you want to use the hymnal, the number is there. Before we do that, however, please take a moment to greet one another respectfully, and if there's someone you don't know, remember to say, I don't think we've met yet, because maybe you're the one who's new, and they've been here for a long, long time. We've just been virtual for so long, we haven't met yet. So take a moment to greet one another.
Good morning, Sharon. I didn't realize I was going to be walking right across the campus. Thank you.
Okay.
It's wonderful to see you. Thanks for being here.
You
I love your hair.
Thank you.
You didn't have that purple last time.
I did not.
It looks great.
Saturday thing.
Wonderful.
We come now to the time in our service where we share our joys and concerns with one another. I'll just remind you, I know it's tough to get back in the habit of what happens when we're actually present in person on Sunday mornings, but we do have a book in the back as you enter into worship space on any joys or concerns that you would like to share with the congregation. If you're tuning in with us virtually, then you can put your joys or concerns that you want to share in the comments, and the community will be able to know what's going on in your life. Hopefully, as we share our joys with one another, those joys are magnified, and as we share our concerns, they're lessened. So if you are coming forward to put a stone in the water this morning, then I invite you to share with somebody after the service, in a phone call, an email, sometime this week. Let people know what's going on, what you want to lift up and celebrate, or what's weighing on your heart, because that's how we are community with one another. As you come forward today, I'll invite you to come forward down the center aisle, which might mean that you have to go back first, and then come forward. And then when you return to your seats, you can go down the side aisles, which again might mean you go all the way back to the narthex first before coming forward. And that way we can keep our social distancing in good form, because we want to have good form. I do want to place a stone of gratitude in the water that are learning about Unitarian Universalism and our rituals. And one of the things they talked about is how our joys and concerns are something that is a part of all of our services. And even when we do other groups, we have check-ins where we share with one another our joys and concerns that we're celebrating. And so they recognize how meaningful a part it is of our community. And so I'm grateful that we have demonstrated that for them. And a stone of concern for those who are suffering with illness this week. We hope for their speedy recovery and that they are able to reach out for the care that they need. I invite you forward to place stones in the water if you have joys or concerns too. We place a stone of concern and hope for those athletes who entertain us with their feats of prowess will remain safe and be good examples of collaboration as we observe their feats of athleticism. And a final stone for anything that we aren't quite able to let go of yet, but know that we really need to.
Well, good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
I am thrilled to be here on week 7 of Chalice. Celebrating, of course, the whole range of our principles these last few weeks. And I was, going through my interesting things, trying to come up with good ideas, and I found myself coming back to how fun I find it when we find either a symbol or a word or a metaphor or something like that still operates in our conception all the time. We use this word or we use a symbol, but we've totally lost track of the original thing. Like it's completely not in our brains anymore. That's not a thing we think about ever, and now it just has something else. Fortunately, because we occupy for worship a building that's been around for many, many years, I was able to get my hands on a visual aid for a usually very good example of this. Recall this is? This is are you ready for this? 2 megabyte floppy disk. And this was in my closet, right next to the Ark of the Covenant. I swear, and it actually was an unopened box. I couldn't even pick it up. So something was I had on my floppy disks. But what's great about this is that if you use almost any computer system today, there's still an icon that looks exactly like this. And we all know it does what? It saves whatever you're working on. Which means you can be using a computer now. You've never seen one of these. But this is still your reference for what it means to save something digitally. This is irrelevant. This is arcane media from the past. There's another one, however, that is really common in what we think about in day-to-day, which is network. How many of us think about networks on a day-to-day basis? All the time. I mean, we're dealing with, Wi-Fi networks, we're dealing with cell phone networks, we're dealing with cable television networks, and we're in networks in television. There are networks of organizations that we're also connected to. And for how many of us, when we think about networks, do we think of a net? Pardon me, this is not an actual net. This is a party decoration for some net-themed party that you might have. So it's not a very substantial net. But you gotta get the idea here. So we work all the time. We use this concept of a network. But we never usually think about what a networking actually is. Because a net is an intricate and kind of extraordinary thing. It's an extremely useful tool, but as you can see, especially on this chintzy, Amazon order example, this is delicate. It's powerful, but it needs attention. We don't think about this, but if you're a person who uses a net most of the time in your work, say you're a fisher person or something like that, most of your use of this is not using it to catch things. Most of your time with it is spent mending it. You're spending your time taking care of it, making sure it still works as a net. That's its crucial thing. So part of exploring our own faith during Chalice is learning new ways to see some of these familiar and lost ideas that now still live with us in all of these ways. And I think thinking about some of the literal things behind these metaphors can actually give us some new insights on maybe some of these old ideas. And our 7th principle is a good example of that. Because our 7th principle, as far as I'm concerned, our 7th principle is something special. 7th principle is profound in a really interesting way. It is wrapped up in some ideas and some concepts that are just bigger than even the words that are there. The official wording of the principle, you can just sort of feel the tingly idea that's there. It's respect for the interdependent web of all existence, of which we are a part. The interdependent web of all existence, of which we are a part. At one level, just to be clear, it's a very straightforward way of reading this principle. This is our ecological principle. This is our climate justice principle. This is our care for the earth principle. It's the blue boat home principle. Like at one level, that totally is a profoundly important part of things to add to what we think about. At the same time, seeing and hearing those words that reverberate, words like existence, words like interdependent web, suddenly we realize we're dealing with something that's much more multi-layered, much more multifaceted, so much bigger than just that idea. of caring about the earth, that's of course a huge part of it. But of course, existence is everything. I exist and you exist. But so of course do trees and lakes and rivers and oceans and animals and planets and galaxies and subatomic particles. These are all things that exist. What I think we shouldn't forget then, looking at this in terms of making sense of this metaphor of a web or of a network of all these interdependent pieces, is actually something that goes in the opposite direction of where our principles have been going. Last week I was describing how our principles have this, there's an evolution to them. They start with the individual, the indivisible worth and dignity of the individual, all the way up to this idea of the interdependent web of all things. What do you think about this interdependent web from the perspective of the individual? Because you all are a part of this web. So what does that even mean if we make this biggest thing actually about our most individual experience? Well, one of the things that occurs to me, what it means is that if we are part of this, it means that who we are and how we are and what we do is all part of making the world. In other words, we have to mend our nets. We're part of this network. We are part of making this web. And that means that caring about ourselves, being the best version of ourselves, being the thing that is most uniquely us, is one of the most important things we can bring with us to participating in making this web. So in a paradox of thinking about this idea of the independent web of all existence, one of the many things that can mean to us is to realize how important it is that we care for the part of that web that is under our control, that we can actually mend and care for and make sure that our part, which is now going to affect so many other parts, is cared for. So there's much to make out of Chalice, there's much to make out of our seventh principle. Maybe we should do our best to hold on to even our most sticky ideas.
Join me now in a time that some call prayer, others call stillness or meditation. We invite each of you to take a deep breath into the present moment and realizing that not everyone will have the functions to enter into all of these movements, but grateful for the skills that we do have. We invite you, as you are willing and able, to participate in this interactive meditation. Spirit of love, God of many names, we enter into this time of centering and sensory reflection. Let us shake out our arms and hands, and then rest them by our sides. Let us shake out our legs and feet, and plant them on the floor. Let us stretch our heads high. Let us take a deep breath of thankfulness. Let us touch our eyes, happy to have the beauty of colors, lines, and shapes. Let us imagine the beauty of the world, the flowers, the trees, the babies, the puppies, all of the things in which we delight. Let us touch our ears. Through them we hear glorious sounds, happy ones and sad ones, beautiful songs and lonely cries. Let us listen well, so that we may live fully. Let us touch our lips. For through these lips we receive the food and drink that nourishes all and helps us grow. And we speak the words that express our thoughts and feelings. Let us touch our hearts, for it is through our hearts that we know and share love. Let us feel the world around us. In our imagination, let us experience the wind that cools us, the sun that warms us, and the rain that nourishes the earth and cleanses us all. The beauty of life is all around us. Let us softly say, each in our own way, thank you. Thank you, God. Thank you, nature. Thank you, world. And may we smile in delight.
Sing along with the song meditation. It's in the order of service. Hymn number 1031.
Are you sure there's no other sound? Our offering today goes to Rust Belt writers. To quote Annie Leonard in The Story of Stuff, there is no such thing as a way when we throw things away. It must go somewhere. You've probably seen the Rust Belt writer bins down at the west end of the parking lot. Since 2014, the mission of Rust Belt writers is to create wealth from waste in order to feed people, not landfills. They've been working with people and organizations across Northeast Ohio to provide them with a clean and timely alternative to landfills for their food waste. By diverting food from landfills, they support our local food system through the creation of value-added agricultural crops, particularly their tilled soils. which are some of the most amazing garden soils around. You can donate either in the collection plate, via our Cash App. The account is $UUCC 44122, or you can send a check to UUCC and reference Rust Belt Riders in the memo line. Please give generously within your means as you are able.
Is the choir going to stay put for the moment? Okay, all right. I'll come over here. We didn't work out all the choreography. I'm grateful that we're sharing with the Rust Belt Riders today, and I just want to share with you some of the ways that we have reached out further than our local community, because back in December, I let you know about a Unitarian congregation in Rutana in Burundi, Africa, and I said that they were hoping to be reestablishing their community as the government has changed to be more welcoming to Unitarian congregations now. And I said if we provided for them $1,200, that we would cover their rent for the year, and they would be able to make some plans for their future with a little breathing room. You went above and beyond that. We contributed $1,400. I don't know what the transfer fees were, because there's all that kind of financial stuff, but close to $1,400 went to this congregation in Burundi. And with their rent paid for the year, they are now going to be building with a lot of sweat equity on their part. They're going to be putting a foundation for a new building down in April, and there will be some time spent in constructing a building of their own. But we have provided them the breathing room to plan for the future. And that, I don't think this net is big enough to demonstrate those connections. But that's what we do on Sunday morning, is reach out into the world. So yeah, you can clap for that, that's okay. I invite you to read along the acceptance of gifts, which is on the pew card, or it's in your order of service if you're tuning in online. We offer these gifts with gratitude, and we acknowledge the constant gifts of time, talent, and treasure that strengthen and nourish this congregation as a reflection of our commitment to community within and without, our purposeful spirituality that is ever searching and growing, and our intentional actions that lead to greater justice in our congregation, our city, our nation, and our world.
The words for our reading today come from Paul's letter. Quantum entanglement is one of the uber bizarre phenomena seen when things get itty-bitty or inside the quantum realm. When two or more particles link up in a certain way, no matter how far apart they are in space, their states remain linked. That means they share a common unified quantum state. So observation of one of the particles can automatically provide information about the other entangled particles, regardless of the distance between them. And any action to one of these particles will invariably impact the others in the entangled system.
No one escaped for a bathroom break right before the sermon. Let me see if I can get this on to make sure that we'll be able to hear what I need to do. Hold it. There, I see a green light. Wonderful. I am wondering if anyone here feels grateful towards somebody else in the room and would just like to tell them thank you for something. It doesn't have to be a paragraph, just a sentence of gratitude towards someone else here. All right, I see hands, wonderful. So I'll let you take this.
They want to say thank you today for taking care of this week with my medical face thing.
All right. Will you hold on to the end of that for me? Just hold on tight. I'll unravel it. I saw somebody else back. Okay, Rita, let's come over here to Rita. I'll hand you the microphone. I should have left my mask on. Sorry.
I am grateful for David's cancer conversations.
David's getting a lot of gratitude. Okay. Hold on to that. You got enough room to hold on tight to that? Yes. Checks for the mail. Okay. Watch your head. We got somebody up here who wants to say thank you.
I am grateful to Tom and Carol Gibson and many others here for their welcoming in our lives here.
All right. Hang on to that. Hold on tight to that. I'll unravel. We've got to get somebody over on the other side here. Del, did I see you say you want to say thank you to somebody? We'll come back to you in just a second. Alicia?
I want to thank whoever fixed the boiler.
That would be Michael Keene in part in our custodial staff and with some help with some other professionals. But Michael Keene was on top of that all week trying to get things taken. Ooh, no, don't make it easy on me. No. This web of entanglement is tough stuff. It's not easy. Del, what do you want to think?
I want to thank my husband Willie for 60 years.
More than 50 years. Okay, I see somebody. I got to unwrap this. Now we've got to let me go over something. You are just making it so easy. It's so easy on me. I've got you. I spoke too soon. Yes.
I am grateful to Alan George's wonderful stories.
Hold that tight. Yes.
I'm very grateful to my friends, family, for their good friendship, support during all this COVID time.
All right. Yeah, very good. One more. Let's see. One more. Over here? Okay. Or two more, because I see a couple of hands, eager folks.
I'm thankful for our wonderful musical directors, with Michael and Carney. We just have such a fantastic duo and everything they do for us and lead others.
Yeah. Okay. And I saw one more over here. So we'll come up. We could just toss this. I was thinking about having us throw this around. But somebody said that was dangerous. That's too dangerous.
I was gonna say that I'm thankful for Mike for keeping the choir together, even though it's been a really strange week. But thank you.
Okay, now be careful not to get your neck in the line of this this yarn that we've got here, because if you hold that tight, that yarn that you've got in between you, probably if I pull on it, it's going to mean that you move a little bit. Do you feel it a little bit? If it's tight enough, we should be able to feel it. If you're pulling back, I feel some of you pulling back. Yeah, you can feel it. You can feel it. Wouldn't it be great if we had that all the time? If we had that sense, that physical sense of that web, that net, if we had that tugging on us all the time, we'd know that what we do matters. But we don't have that. I'm going to drop this for a second. We don't get that benefit. We don't have the benefit of a physical tug when we're doing something. But you can't move without moving someone or something else. You can't move without moving someone or something else. It's just like this taut line. We just don't feel it. We're not tuned into it. Some of us are. And I think now that I'm reflecting on Alan's story, I think I did it in the wrong order, but that's okay, because I know you can hold that thought of the net, of mending your net in mind as we become a little more aware of the net. Because I want us to reflect a little bit today on that net, that interconnected web of existence of which we are a part. You all that are holding on to the web, I'll leave it to you whether you keep holding on to it and feel the tug, or if you want to let go of it, that's all you. If you want to pass it along to a young person nearby and let them tug on it for a while, that's okay too. But just reflect on your connections. If you were to have yellow yarn connecting you to all of the people in your community, think about who those people are. Think about those connections. And then imagine all of the people that they are connected to. That second degree of separation. All of the people that you are connected to, you're also connected to their friends, their family members, their coworkers. Take that in just a minute. Like there's yellow yarn that just ties you all together. We started the service saying that we believe that our actions matter, that what we do matters. One of the reasons is that we cannot move without moving something else or someone else. Everything we do affects everything. Maybe not in ways that we perceive. Maybe not in ways that anybody would blame us for. This is not about blaming people for things. But everything we do matters. Think about the food that you eat. Did you grow all the food you eat yourself? Some people in this room might have. But most of us don't grow all of the food that we eat. Somebody else did that. And then somebody else transported it to a place where we could have access to it. Maybe it was transported multiple times. Maybe in some way it was processed along the way. It was grown on land that we will never walk on. That land nourishes us. It was grown with water that we will never see. But that water nourishes us, some distant place. People that we will never meet, connected. Like strands of yellow yarn, like a net, connecting us. What we do affects them. What they do affects us. We can't move without it moving somebody else. Now, we talk about the desirability of being more local with our eating. We'll talk about that's another sermon. That's for another time. As it is right now, our food connects us to a lot of remote places and strangers and people who are working for our well-being without ever meeting us. Land that is feeding us. Natural resources that go to our nourishment. What about other products in your home, in your closets, unopened, waiting for a white elephant party at some point in time? Think about the things that we have. Who made those things? Who got them to us? We're connected. We're connected. And don't feel ashamed if you don't know who those people were. I don't know who those people were. We don't even think about it most of the time. We don't feel this. We don't have that physical tug that says, something moved and I'm moving with it. Or I'm moving and there's something that's providing resistance or that's moving along with me or dancing in that web. It's okay if you don't know who those people are. This isn't about trying to feel ashamed of things that we're not aware of. It isn't even about changing how we're living. It's just about being aware of all of these connections, that what we have, what we benefit from, what we do in our lives, touches so many other people. If we could feel it, if we could physically feel it, how would that change how important we make things, how aware we are not being able to move without moving somebody else? And people's decisions affect us too, even when there's not something physical involved. People's decisions affect us too. We turn on the news, we look at the internet, we see other people's actions, and we feel something. We feel anger, or we feel joy. We feel sadness because of something that happens in people's lives that we will never meet, that we will never talk to, that we'll never have a chance to process through how we feel with them. And yet, emotionally, it's the same as having this line between us. We're tugged on. Emotionally, we're connected. We read about people doing things on the other side of the world or on the border of our country, and we feel it. We feel it deep. That's what we're talking about. When we talk about an interconnected web of existence, that's what we're talking about. They can't do something without it affecting us. They can't move without moving us. Octavia Butler said, you can't touch something without changing it. And you can't change something without it changing you. She's talking about an interconnected web of existence. She didn't say it that way. But that's what she's talking about. And that's why it's important for us to mend our nets, to spend time to pay attention. If I cut this line, then that connection gets lost. And we try to do that sometimes. We get angry about something, or we decide that we don't want to feel whatever sadness we're feeling, or we want to somehow try to disconnect. Somebody says something bad about us, and we say, okay, I'm not talking to you again. I'm going to just cut the line. There. Now I can't feel it. Now I can't feel it anymore. I have severed that connection. The problem is, all we've done is numb ourselves. We haven't actually disconnected because what that person does still affects us. And what we do still affects them. We can't move without moving somebody or something else. All we've done is play pretend. Now we are ignoring the connection. That's what that means. That's what that cutting it is. Now I'm just ignoring the connection. I'm not going to feel it, but it still exists. Which is why what we do matters. And we haven't even gotten to the environment yet. We're entangled up with an entire web of existence apart from just human beings. When I buy the crystals that keep my steps free of ice, that bag tells me that it has the potential to affect all of the wildlife and all of the plant life in my yard. What I choose to, the product that I choose to use affects my environment in my yard. It affects the plants and the squirrels, the neighbor's pets maybe, the rabbit that I saw this morning hopping through the snow trying to figure out why it was not warmer than it was. Maybe the robins that eat the berries off my bushes. There was a coyote wandering down our street a couple of weeks back. So it affects all of that. What I do affects all of that. Like I'm connected. We can imagine further out too, probably. We're entangled with all of the life that surrounds all of those people we've been talking about. Imagine that. If you were able to imagine those distant people that you will never meet, that make the things that you benefit from, or that produce the food that nourishes you. If you were able to imagine those people, now imagine all of the life that surrounds them. All of the vegetation that surrounds them, where they are. We're connected to that. All of the insects, all of the life, all of the animals in that area, the flora and the fauna. We're connected to that because we're connected to them. We affect their environment. And again, don't worry if you can't name everything. The point isn't to be able to list it on a test. If you can't name all of the plant life in the area where somebody produced your coffee maker, that's okay. The point is to know that you're connected to it. To get better and better at feeling that tug. And to recognize when we're trying to sever that connection just so we're more comfortable. We have to mend our nets sometimes. We have to mend those connections. We have to tend to them at least. And in order to do that, we have to be aware of them. And so that's what we're doing today, hopefully. It's taking a moment to be a little more aware. Even if we don't change anything about what we do, what we eat, how we live, what we buy, being aware of it makes it more meaningful. Being aware that we cannot move without moving someone or something else. So how we move matters. There's a deep beauty in this. It might feel vulnerable to feel that sense of beauty, that we are a part of that. We're not up here holding the strings and pulling things like puppet masters. We're in it. We're a piece of it. I am right here, and you are right there, and the person next to you is right here. We're a part of it. And if we can feel that beauty, maybe it won't be such a difficult task to mend or tend our nets. Maybe that then becomes an act of love. An act of love for ourselves, for the world around us. So that we can come and say, wow, this connection actually matters more than I thought it did. Sometimes we need help in things. Thank you for that. And we can say, I can't not feel this. I'm not fully human if I'm not feeling this. And so as an act of love, I can set things right. But if I don't recognize the beauty of it, then it becomes hard work. And it becomes exhausting, and it becomes something I don't even want to think about. I'll just numb myself to it and not worry about it. But that's why we have such a hard time living into all of our other principles. Because we miss the beauty of this. We think of it as hard work to create justice and equity and compassion, but really, it's just a loving act of tending the web of existence that we're part of. It's a way that we love ourselves to tend to this net. If we had yellow yarn connecting everyone and everything that we influence, we wouldn't be able to see anything but yellow yarn. So we have to use our imaginations to feel that connection. But if we are willing, hopefully we will open ourselves up a little more to that tug, a little more to that awareness that what we do really matters. Everything we do matters. Because you cannot move without moving someone or something else. If you want to, you can do something at home to remind yourself of this. You don't have to make a whole net. What you can do is you just take a little bit of yarn. If you're into talismans and that sort of thing, take 2 strands of yarn, just tie them in the middle, like one of the nodes of that net that we're talking about. You learn about nodes in school. It's where 2 things intersect. You are a point at which the entire web of existence intersects. If I could tie a knot, I could demonstrate this. This is a loving act. That's not a difficult thing. That's not arduous. And I can do it. So you just tie a little talisman for yourself. You can remind yourself, if you want some of this yarn, I'll give you this yarn, but a lot of you probably have yarn. Just remind yourself, that's me. That's me right there, that one spot. And it connects to everything else. Maybe you put it on your personal altar, or you put it on your dresser, or someplace where you're going to see it on a regular basis, and just let it remind you for a while. And at a point where you think, I haven't paid attention to that thing for a month. What's that doing here? Just throw it away because it's not doing its job. But maybe for a little while, it'll help you feel that tug so that you can say, that's right. I can't move without moving something or someone else. Maybe your days will be different. Maybe the next hour will be different. Who knows? For now, we're going to sing together a song that will remind us. It's called We Are Not Our Own. And as we sing, I'm going to collect up a little bit of yarn. The words are in your order of service. I invite you to arrive in body and spirit. Someone offered me a correction this week as we are about to read our COVID covenant. I want to put something in context because I've heard it from a few folks. Again, this covenant this is almost obsolete now because so much has changed and we're doing a few things differently, but we still have the same sentiment. But there's a place in here where it says we respect one another by considering the safety and comfort of others before ourselves. And as I'm looking at those words, that's not really what's intended. We're not wanting to consider the safety and comfort of others before our own safety, because we do need to care for ourselves. You are most responsible for caring for you, which is why we say if you are not vaccinated, we want you to exercise extreme precautions when coming here because you are more vulnerable than we are if you're not vaccinated. If we're vaccinated and you're not, we don't have as much to worry about with our health as you do. And so we care about you and we want you to stay safe. But we want to consider the safety and comfort of others before our own preferences. So the fact that I don't want to have a mask on when I'm welcoming people, or you don't want to wear a mask, or you don't want to sit so far away from your friends, and yet you choose to do so because you are going to honor the safety and comfort of others before your own preferences, that's really what we're getting at here. And so I hope that if it has been difficult for you to read, that you will be able to read it today in that spirit, that all of us are giving up a little bit of our preferences in order to care for the safety and comfort of our entire community. So let's read together our COVID covenant. In beloved community, we welcome everyone, absolutely everyone, into this space of worship and fellowship. In this time of pandemic, we covenant to respect one another by considering the safety and comfort of others before ourselves, to respect the policies our leadership has established, and to take all our steps with one another with grace and understanding as we work to make this a truly safe place for all people. As we go forth from this place today, may you be attuned, may you be aware of that tug, not an overwhelming tug, but a beautiful reminder that you are connected, that we are all connected as part of a web of existence, and that we can lovingly tend those connections. May you go with peace and courage to do so.
Please join me in the words of the elder sheet for extinguishing the chalice. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of the community, or the fire of the commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
Whatever circle from the center.